The following announcement has been paid for by the Wrestling Epicenter.
Hey guys.
Hello, ladies. Remember me? Let me talk to you, dummies.
It's now time
It's Vader time. TikTok.
It's showtime!
for the longest running wrestling talk show in history.
We are huge. It's gonna be cool.
You're where it's at.
You're smart like me.
Tune in each and every week.
You better keep listening, or I'll come out of your computer
And turn it on for you.
or else I'm gonna kick your stinking teeth in.
We've been known by a few names.
The needs of the many far outweigh the needs of the few.
The Interactive Interview,
Interactive interview. Oh yeah.
Interactive interview.
The interactive interview.
Interactive interview. The interactive interview.
The Blaze,
Blaze 1260 AM.
The Blaze.
The Blaze.
Blaze. The Blaze rock.
Interactive Wrestling Radio,
Interactive wrestling radio. Interactive wrestling radio.
Interactive radio.
Interactive radio. Testify.
Interactive wrestling radio.
and a lot of other names.
Weekend warriors of wrestling. The pile driver. The pile driver.
3-count wrestling.
The hours. Wow.
But it's all one show, the Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter.
The epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter, dude. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And your host from day one,
By ignorance or arrogance.
James Walsh.
Wake up, sleepyheads.
I could care less.
It all starts
Oh, tough guy.
Thank you very much.
What a rush. Dumbed down.
Get out of my face.
You win! But I'm desperately out of time! So what you gonna do when Blaze Mania runs wild on you?
now.
Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Sorry?
He hurts himself a lot, and he just hurt himself.
Oh, okay.
It's the best way to put it. All right, you okay, Brian?
Yeah, I hate when I do that.
What'd you do this time?
What the? I bit my tongue. I chewed gum.
All right, well, that's Brian. He's hard to forget.
Alright.
All right, are we all ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we're starting with you, April?
Okay.
And then we'll just, I guess, kind of have you, hand the phone to JD, or?
Okay, no problem.
All right, is that what you want to do? I mean, you tell us if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that's fine. Actually, I'm on a crappy cell sitting outside a takeout place waiting for our food, so, but the reception's good. It's better than if I was at home, so there you go.
All righty. Okay, is everybody ready?
Go ahead, shoot whenever.
All right, 5.
If I can't hear you, I'll be like, what? Sorry.
That's okay. All right, 5,
Okay.
4, 3, 2.
And welcome back to 3-Count Wrestling. It is now our distinct honor and privilege to have as our guest the ultimate prize, April Hunter. April, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Great. We're doing excellent. This is a thrill for me, at least, and I hope it's the same for my co-host.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
They're waiting for me to say something. It's, of course, an honor for me as well.
Sorry, I missed that.
That's okay. I was just saying it's an honor for me as well. We're good to it's good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
All righty.
Like I said, if I'm deaf, just yell because I'm sitting outside and there's cars passing. So, just be like, speak up, you deaf bitch.
Oh, that's just not nice.
Okay, well, you did an interview with our website on a different show back in 2003, and quite a bit has happened since then. First off, what's the indie circuit like for a woman wrestler these days?
Jeez. Well, I don't know. you want me to be honest, it's, the indies seem to be picking up a little bit sometimes, but overall, in my opinion, it's a little discouraging at times. I try and stay positive, but it just seems like a lot of, diva search stuff.
Yeah.
So, it seems a lot less emphasis on, what you can do more than, how you look doing it, I suppose. Which is always, that's always been a really important part of women's wrestling. But still, I think, I don't know. I think the wrestling fans will buy whatever if you present them women's wrestling in a different light, they will probably be receptive to it.
So do you think that there could be an all-women's promotion, like on national TV, that could be successful?
Oh, sure. Why not? I mean, honestly, what gets the best ratings? Sex and violence, right? So there you go. Women's wrestling is both. If they can, seriously, I mean, if they can sell out in Mexico, if they can sell out in Japan, why couldn't they sell out in America?
Well, is it a different? I mean, we are a very perverted culture.
We are. I think we Americans are very fake puritanical culture, where basically the entire country is founded by Puritans. So we pretend to be something we're not, but at the end of the day,
yeah,
we are not comfortable with porn. We are not out in the open with porn. So therefore, our women's wrestling and other things, our Girls Gone Wild and our swimsuit competitions and wet T-shirt stuff, all that is like thinly veiled porn, and it's acceptable. It doesn't upset anybody. Whereas other countries like Japan are outright with their porn. Their porn sits on the major shelves, and no one really cares about it. So when they have women's wrestling, they have women's wrestling. They get their porn, now they want their wrestling.
Now,
it's just a different culture, a different society.
Right. I mean, how discouraging is it when you see, when you women like yourself, work your butts off to make it in this industry, and then you see, some chick just trying to, use someone like WWE or whatever with the, the diva search,
to make a name for themselves.
Right. Well, I mean, you can't blame anybody for doing that. If WWE, really, at the end of the day, if you're going to blame somebody, you got to blame WWE because they're the ones that are allowing it to happen.
Right.
A girl is a model. She's going to try and go as far as she can, doing whatever she can, to getting as much exposure as she can. And television exposure is the ultimate exposure. So, besides being, in cinema. So, the girl's just hustling. She's doing what she can, and I don't blame any of them. If they're allowed that opportunity, then of course, take it.
But as a performer, does it discourage you when you watch, say I watched a WEW show the other day, and I'm watching the show, and I think it was Luscious and Mercedes in the ring, and Luscious was bleeding, and they're beating the crap out of each other, and the announcer, who I actually like as a person, is making a comment about how they look physically. I mean, do you think that that's kind of part of the problem, that people just, they don't take you guys seriously?
It depends on their product, too. I mean, in that particular reference, WEW is, they market themselves a certain way, and they definitely appeal or try to appeal and market themselves to a different audience than just wrestling fans. So basically, their primary target, I think, is, let's be honest, it's flankers first and then wrestling second.
Yeah.
So if we happen to get a chance to actually wrestle on there with other female workers, that's more of an opportunity for us. Like, I've been really lucky with WW. I know what their product's about. I know what their market is. I don't mind because they treat me very well and they allow me to work with other female wrestlers. I know at the end of the day, what their commentary is going to be about, though. Yeah. So that. But I've seen it with companies that claim to be their wrestling oriented, and that's discouraging at times.
Well, you're also part of Carmen Electra's Naked Women's Wrestling. Little off the track question here for you. Is it difficult to do a suplex without you being able to grab tight?
I haven't tried, actually. There's just certain things that I have not done with them, and that would be one of them because there's really nothing to grab onto, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's certain moves, like the flying head scissors. I've also scratched that too. That could be a finisher there. So yeah, it's different. There's pros and cons to working there. One is obviously the money. It's a hell of a paycheck, and I'll be honest with you, that was my number one motivator right there because on the indies you're not making that much. Secondly, they're extremely professional, oddly enough, for a nude company, and the third thing is it's kind of cool to be in the ring and not have to worry about adjusting on your costume. Nothing rides up.
Well, has there been much contact between yourself in TNA or maybe even the WWE?
Yeah, I've had a bunch of tryouts with both of them. They know who I am, and they stay in touch with me. I think it's just a matter of either I'm not good enough in some way or another for them, or I'm just not what they're looking for at the moment. There's not a spot for somebody like me.
Which would you prefer to work with?
I would lean towards TNA personally.
More wrestling? Or
Sorry?
more wrestling or lighter schedule, or is that why?
Newer company.
It's kind of like that, who was it? This is something about taking it to the top.
Grow, maybe. Yeah, a bit more room to grow rather than doing a lot of the same stuff that's been done, kind of thing. But, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, if you get to wrestle on television in front of fans, that's what matters.
Exactly. And I guess that's what WEW is good for, because it does get some of the girls noticed. And I'll be honest, I watched the pay-per-view the other day, and I do like some of the wrestling. But when they have a half hour in between with these POW searches or PWO searches, I'm like, I don't know. This makes me uncomfortable.
I think they're trying to make everybody happy, you know, no matter what type of guy is going to watch the show.
Right.
So, yeah, it's kind of a weird mix, but hey.
Yeah.
Well, we've done interviews with several women wrestlers on this show, and one of the many complaints we hear from them is lack of quality opponents to wrestle with in the United States. Is that true for you as well?
Absolutely. Yep. I run into that all the time.
Is it something that you go into and you're nervous because you don't want to put your life in this person's hands?
Yeah, no, a little bit, but for the most part, if I know somebody's green or not that good, I don't do anything with them. I'll have entire matches where all I do is take their moves and give chops. I won't give them anything where I give them the opportunity to drop me on my head. Right. So I'll be the heel. I'll just bump for them and do their thing, and that's it.
Huh. You make them look good, though.
I have a lot of matches like that where I don't do anything, though. It gets frustrating at times because you have a whole lot of matches for a few months where you don't do anything, or you dumb it down to where it's, clothesline, arm drag, and then all of a sudden you get a quality opponent, and they're like, oh, so what do you want to do? And you're like, because you've gotten so used to keeping everything so basic for so long. But yeah, it's definitely. I've been wrestling for about 3 to 4 years. And that's it. That's my entire ring time as far as being inside the ring, not outside the ring. In the United States, and I'm considered a veteran here, which is really sad. So, but yeah, it's it is what it is, I guess.
Well, in earlier this month, June, you were part of an all-women show in New Jersey that unfortunately only drew 25 people.
Yeah, there was a reason for that. It was a sold show.
It was a what?
It was a sold show. A lot of people don't know that. Basically, are you familiar with custom matches?
Not really, to be honest with you.
Okay, a custom match is where basically you're doing the match for video. That's what we were doing. We're doing the match for video. That's it. The guy who ran it, or PW Elite who ran it, had been contacted by a company in the West Coast, an internet wrestling company, where they broadcast matches on pay-per-view. The entire show was bought and paid for. So
was that Ring Divas?
Yeah, no, that's North Carolina. This is Click Wrestle.
Okay.
So they didn't even bother to promote the show at all. They just knew that it was already going to be paid for. The matches were going to be, put out there, and who would get his money back. So that was that. That's why I don't think it's if you're heading to the point where women's wrestling doesn't draw. That's why we drew 25 people. It's not that. They just didn't bother promoting it. And at the end of the day, you have 50 Cent up in that. 50 Cent could have been in the AWA arena. If nobody knew he was there, nobody would be showing up.
Right.
So
no, we weren't actually going in that direction. We were actually going towards you just answered the second question. Was it as disappointing to the girls that it would be led to believe?
Yeah, it was.
This was released on. This was released by Dave Meltzer, and he worded it so awkwardly that it just made it like, okay, all these women could only draw 25 people.
Yeah. No, it wasn't that. They didn't. I don't think anybody even knew there was a show that day, especially not a women's show. because we were in a Puerto Rican neighborhood where if you had put a couple flyers out with all our pictures on there, guarantee some of the guys would have come up there. But it was, you know, I mean, I've seen regular wrestling shows draw a little better over there, but that's because people have promoted it. It's just not a really great area to have. The venue itself is not that great.
Where was this?
Parking on the street, it's not good. But at the end of the day, yeah, the women were, I think, kind of bummed, but we ended up just decided to have a good time with it. That's all.
What area was this?
We had fun. It was New York, New Jersey. It was kind of it's very ghetto-ish where it was.
I mean, I lived in New Jersey. That's kind of why I'm curious of where it was, because I know the area. Oh well.
The name escapes me right now.
I'm thinking if it was
like above Newark.
Oh, Patterson, was it?
No.
Okay. Because that's a very seedy area.
It was actually, but you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the next question on this was: does your attitude about your personal in-ring performance change when there's such a small crowd?
It depends. It depends on who I'm working with.
Mm-hmm. Well,
for the most part, no, because even if, you know, 20 people are buying a ticket or 2,000 people are buying a ticket, all of them bought a ticket, you know, so you perform. I just think you probably avoid doing so many drop you on your head moves.
Right.
Although I don't know what the mentality is. That's a wrestler's mentality, okay, like, hey, drop me on my head for 2,000 instead of 20. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I think you just avoid some of the riskier moves, and you tend to maybe work the crowd a bit more or something.
Well, you don't have to name names if you don't want to, but who are some of the more people you like to work with? Who do you really enjoy getting in the ring with?
Jeez.
It's that hard to think of any?
No.
Okay.
I'm blanking out because I'm starving to death.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
The food's still not here.
Oh.
I really liked working with a lot of the Japanese girls, like Momo Nakanishi and Mima Shimoda. I don't know if you're familiar with any of them, but
Yeah, I know both.
Yep. Leona. They were all really, really good. I always there was a girl in Puerto Rico named La Tigresa. I really liked working with her. I'm trying to think in America. I love working with my tag team partner, Talia. We just had to actually have a match against each other not too long ago, and that was really kind of fun and painful.
What company was that for?
Huh?
What company was that match for?
TNT. They're out of Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I like
Go ahead, Brian.
Well,
I was just going to say I like Ariel a lot, too.
Okay. You mentioned some Japanese names, and you're a frequent visitor to Japan. Could you tell us what about the culture shock over there for the first time?
Wow. Yeah, I was like, it couldn't be any more different than America. It really couldn't. Oh, God. Just everything. I mean, you really kind of have to just go with it. I mean, your food orders get messed up if you even know what you're eating. It's just different. The hotel rooms, I almost have to duck under the door because it's so small. And the shower, they only come up to about, like, maybe my chest, so I kind of have to duck under that to wash my hair. It's very compact.
Wow. Yeah, actually, Bret Hart said that he lost 30 pounds the first time he went to Japan because he didn't eat.
Yeah, it's not only is the food strange, but it's very, very expensive, too. A lot of weird things like dried squid. I'm not a big fan of dried squid. So I ended up eating a lot of things that I shouldn't eat, like pastries and stuff like that, because you can find a lot of, like, French pastry at the convenience store, which I call the combini. But at least I knew what it was, so I ate it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
Take what you can get.
It's different.
Has it become easier over time? Going to Japan?
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things that's really valuable about working in Japan and Mexico, for me, was once you come out of those matches, whether 20 or 30 minutes, 40 minutes sometimes, where you're doing 2 out of 3 falls and nobody speaks a word of English. Once you come out of that and then you come home, you realize how easy a match in the United States is, you know, and at least everybody speaks the same language.
Right. Well, which do you prefer wrestling? A United States style match or a a Japanese style?
It depends. How hurt am I? If I'm hurt, I prefer working in the United States. If I'm not hurt, Japanese. It's a lot more fun. You learn a lot.
It's a lot stiffer, though, isn't
Puerto Rican wrestling, too. It's like you get all the crowds of the, Japanese, but you can... It's very much like tell a story emphasis. Heels are heels, faces are faces.
I hear there's no money over there, though.
It's not the place where I was paid the most, put it to you that way.
Yeah.
So...
Well, in March of this year, you had a severe injury to your back. Now, how did that happen? You care to tell us?
I fell down 2 steps. That's it, 2 steps.
At your house?
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah, socks on rugs don't really go together very well.
Uh-huh.
So I was doing something. I had my bag on the side of me, and I was putting my phone back in my bag. And I slipped and fell and landed flat on my, sitting straight up, and I compressed a couple discs.
Oof.
So it was hard to get up and down, and it was just kind of,
How are you now?
For a while.
You doing all right now?
I just started wrestling again. I've had like 6 matches since then. The WW pay-per-view was my very first one back, so I was really nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, I was, out of shape, but I'd had the booking booked, and I wanted to do it because they film it for pay-per-view, so I went. I still ache a little bit, but it's getting...
Mm-hmm.
Well, as someone who, in essence, lives off her body, how does an injury like that affect you mentally?
A lot, actually, because, just wearing anything with a heel will mess you up a little bit. Being on your feet for any length of time messes you up, so it's, it was a comfort. I had gotten a whole bunch of injuries all in the span of 1 month. I worked with, Melissa Coates broke my nose, completely broke it off a hip toss.
On a hip toss?
On a hip toss. Right before that, I had fractured my ankle. And then right after that, so I had the fractured ankle, the nose, and then the back. So it was almost like it happened for a reason, because I really just needed to sit the hell down for a little while, I guess.
No, this is really not... You're a former model, and this is not like glamorous things, breaking your ankles and noses and everything.
No, I know.
What happened? Do you ever rethink your career choices?
Huh?
Do you ever rethink your career choices?
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking seriously. I know. I was lucky because I was in Canada when I had broken my nose, and right before that it had been the ankle. So the company I was working for at the time, that was the NWWL, they actually took me to the emergency room. They paid for everything, and they had the doctors set my nose, and then also they did all the x-rays and everything on my ankle as well, and they paid for it. So I was like, yeah, right on. Because I had no health insurance.
Cool.
So that worked out good for me.
Well, speaking of different career choices, as far as we can find, you've done 2 movies, a Japanese one called Sweet Home Battlefield, and just another romantic wrestling comedy.
Yep.
What was that like?
Both of them were a lot of fun. I shoot a couple different things in Japan a lot. Like I did a movie in Japan. I've worked for Toyota before. When you work in Japan, you work like 19-hour days. Everybody does it, so you can't complain. You just go and you work. So it's a really hard shooting schedule. But they pay very, very well. So you don't mind as much. When I did the romantic wrestling comedy, that was just for fun. It was like a kind of a fun indie movie that I did. It was, let's see, who else was in that? Don Fry and China, and some real actors were in it, thank God. So we shot that over the period of most of October, I think it was last year, maybe? Mm-hmm. And in New Jersey. And it was basically, the woman that did it was a really cool Latina woman who grew up a wrestling fan. So she wanted to do a story about a family in wrestling where basically the man and the woman were both wrestlers. They had a relationship. They got married. They had a child, and unfortunately, it was a girl. Which is really not far off from what, most wrestlers feel, because it seems like every wrestler I've ever met wants to have a son, wants to have a son, wants to have a son. So this guy, they had their one and only child, and it was a girl. So this was his profound disappointment with his life, because he had a girl. And the story of their entire relationship, and then the girl grows up and gets married, and he really wants her to marry a wrestler. And then there's a bit of conflict there. So he's basically got her husband all sorted out for her, and she's, digging her heels in. So this is what the show was about.
Oh, did this get released anywhere?
It just had a showing at the film festivals. Apparently it did pretty well. I wasn't in the country at the time, so I didn't get to go to the premiere, but I guess it's going to go on to some more film festivals. It did the local circuit first. Now I think it's going to the national one.
Oh, cool.
Do you know if and when it's going to get a DVD release?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I know they have a website. Like if you go to my website, there's a link on there in the resume section. So it's like aprilhunter.com, and then you go to wrestler resume, and there's a link for the trailer and the website there.
Cool.
Okay. Well, I mean, is
you like that? You like that surreptitious self-promotion thing I just did?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
You were expecting one earlier.
You should have been on our Mick Foley interview. I did a Mick Foley interview with a guy who really wasn't into wrestling, and I'm talking to Mick, and after the interview, the guy just ranted for about 20 minutes. That self-serving son of... I'm like, no, he's trying to promote his stuff. Leave him alone. That's what we're here for, They don't get it, man.
Especially on this level.
Yeah.
Right. Now, is film something you're interested in doing more of?
If it happens, it's not really like something I'm actively pursuing, but if it happens, sure. Personally, I don't think I'm that talented of an actress. So, if I can fall into something that I can play, no problem, sure. But I don't think acting is more my forte. Neither is singing. I know this about myself. I don't try and do it. So, yeah.
Well,
I'm talented at... Sorry?
He's pretty successful as a movie actor, but I would consider him that good.
You never know. The ones I've seen with him in, he pulls it off pretty good. So he's a lot better than I am. That's why he's got millions of dollars and I don't.
It just kind of dawned on me what you would look like in Japan, like a red-haired woman.
Like a giant.
Yeah, a taller red-haired woman in Japan. You must stick out.
They call me Beautiful Soldier over there. That's their nickname for me.
Is it okay?
Yeah. So I'm like a head and a half taller than the girls I'm in the ring with. Except for Mimi Shimoda, who's 5'8". And Mita, she's also 5'8", and they're considered giants over there, too. So.
Yeah, but they're very athletically built, not curvy. But that's... but anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going off topic here. Well, there is one question on our list that if we didn't ask about, our forum members would skin us alive. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but if you could, please tell us what happened between you and Flick last year.
To be honest with you, I'd really rather not go there.
That's
it's just a matter, in a nutshell, he and I, we ran our course. I wanted to split up. He didn't have the finances to move out, and I said, okay, stay until you do, because we were trying to get along. We had an up and down relationship before that. That wasn't the first time that, I'd gotten my ass whooped. And I sat around, we split up summertime and waited and waited and waited and waited. And I'm like, dude, you got to go. I'm going to, start moving on with life. So I started moving on with life. And I told him, I said, I'm seeing other people. Okay. He wasn't happy, and it escalated, and that's that.
All right, well... Well, the next question is about your current relationship with indie wrestler J.D. Michaels. Without going into graphic detail, how did the two of you hook up?
I had taken a tour in Canada and Winnipeg, and he was booked on the same tour, basically, and I met him that show. It was weird because he had watched my match, and I had broken my nose, and basically, more or less, he told me what had happened. That was the first time I cracked my nose. And then I did it again, like a few months later, which was great. But anyway, I broke my nose the first night, and he broke his the second night, and we both broke ours in the same spot.
Oh, that's a hell of a story.
Yeah. Well,
How'd you meet? We broke our noses together.
basically, yeah.
Oh, great. That's an idea for a wrestling love story.
No, he was just you know what happened? I saw him in the lobby, and of the hotel when we were getting ready to go over there, because the company that I was working for was AWE. They had a pay-per-view in Canada, and so everybody was going over in like 2 limos. And I saw him over there, and I thought to myself, basically, goddamn,
Right.
I thought he was really, really hot. So I tried to stay away from him for that reason. And then he started following me around, and then I broke my nose. And I started talking to him, and I figured, I didn't want to get into another wrestling relationship at all, ever, not after the last one. And I told him, we're talking, and on top of being really, really hot, he was like really, really sharp and funny and had this really dry, like British sense of humor. It was really, really cool guy. And I was like, shit. I'm like, I can't date another wrestler. I'm sorry. You're really awesome, and if you were a ditch digger, it would be great, but I can't date you. So he pursued and pursued and pursued and caught me with my guard down or something. Now he lives here.
All right, good.
It's giving me a dirty look right now. He'll pay his version of that story later, I'm sure.
Well, I for one am jealous, but then again, I'm not that hot or all that funny, so.
He's got an afro, actually. Yeah, he got it cut.
I used to look like a mix between The Rock and Carlito, so we'll figure.
You probably stand out at the airport, huh?
Well, probably. Well, anyway, all right, well, Missy Hyatt, Mickey James, Tammy Stitch, and a few other wrestling women have also have relationships with younger men. What is the connection between women wrestlers and young men?
I think it's a combination of a couple things. One is if you're a female in wrestling, obviously you're not, obviously you're not going to have kids anytime soon. So as you get older and put off having children, a lot of the men in the business are younger and younger, so you're around younger guys all the time. Plus the mentality of the business, I think, also is geared towards young people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
I think, you yourself are out there pursuing your dream. I know this is for me, here I am, late 20s, early 30s, and I'm still out there pursuing my dream. And most of my friends are, married with a minivan and 2.5 kids, or already divorced, you know what I mean?
I never understood that phrase, 2.5.
Huh?
Who had a half a kid?
They're pregnant.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, so they can't, they think they're jealous of me, and they're like, oh, you're out there pursuing your life and blah, 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 and I'm sort of jealous of them because they actually have a life or someone to come home to.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't really relate anymore. So the people who you understand and who understand you are the people who are also in the business, which is usually younger men. That's what you're around. So I definitely don't go out of my way to find younger guys. It's just that guys my age usually have a big, huge gut, and they're bald, and, women are just as shallow as men. We don't like physically unattractive things either. We're just willing to overlook it at times. But if we have the choice between, jacked and abs or a gut and bald, obviously we're going with, the first one.
Right.
I think.
Right. Right. I don't think that has anything to do with really, her being a wrestler or anything. I think that's just women in general, I see that more and more often.
Yeah, I mean, I think most women prefer younger guys. They just don't admit it because they don't want to upset anybody. The problem with younger guys is they act younger.
Yeah.
Some do. Not all, some. They have a younger mentality.
Yeah, I've had a couple of relationships where I dated older women. Ooh,
Yeah.
My voice just cracked. That's real good. That should show you how young I am. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you just sound younger then.
Yeah, great, yeah. I've had a couple of relationships like that, and the problem, I've always been told that I'm more mature for my age, but there's sometimes when they're like, you act like a kid. I'm like, I'm 23. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I think, depends on who you're dating too. I think a 23 23-year-old American is going to act 23, but a 23-year-old European or Canadian is going to act different because they start drinking at 18. They start going to the clubs. They're done the clubs by the time they turn 21. You know, so they're a bit more. They're on a different level.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Well, a couple more semi-personal questions. You don't have to answer this if you don't.
Oh boy. I want it to be known that I did not write these questions.
No, they're not that bad.
Okay, good.
What?
I'm kind of afraid.
The first one is, does wrestling pay the bills, or does your website take care of most of the finances?
My website. Yeah, wrestling does not pay the bills unless it's something on the side like custom videos or the NWWL. So they're the only two real paychecks that I make as far as wrestling. Wrestling doesn't do it at all. Not on this level. Trying to get wrestling to cover the expenses it takes to get to the shows half the time is a bit of a challenge. So
that's where the phrase "supporting my wrestling habit" comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
All right, and you touched on this in the first part of this interview, so we'll just ask you this in total. What, in your opinion, needs to happen before women's wrestling is taken seriously
in the United States?
In the U.S.
I'm trying to think. I would think the first thing that needs to happen is the way that it's marketed to fans needs to change a little bit. There's nothing wrong with TNA. You know, it's nice, it's good, everybody likes to look at it. But at the end of the day, you know, you can pick up a Playboy or a Penthouse magazine, or get a Playboy or Penthouse or a porn DVD, and let's be honest, the girls are going to be 10 times better looking on that than wrestling. You know, so if you want beautiful women naked, go see beautiful women naked. But if you're a wrestling fan, I think you like wrestling. It doesn't matter what gender's in the ring. So I think if women still wrestle like women, meaning hair pulling and slapping, not weak hitting the ropes and terrible clotheslines. I mean, if women still wrestle like they're girls, but they're really wrestling out there, I think fans would like that, regardless of what size they are or how they look. Obviously, it's always nice to look good, but if you have a character, you know, you can get away with a little bit more.
Right.
So I think if it's marketed a little differently, people would accept it.
Well, did you ever see the company called WOW from a few years back?
Yeah, I remember that.
What do you think of that?
I thought it was pretty cool, actually. I caught a couple of their pay-per-views. You know, originally I was actually supposed to sign with them, but I ended up already putting a deposit and everything on my apartment, which was in Boston, to come out to train with Killer Kowalski's. I'd been living on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And they had a female trainer at the time, and I was going to go out there and train with her and everything like that, but I ended up scrapping it and deciding to come out east and do the Indies and train at Kowalski's instead.
Yeah.
I said it was a pretty cool concept, though.
And it was, and that's kind of why I asked, because they actually presented characters. I think the unfortunate thing about that was a lot of those girls only had limited training, so a lot of them really couldn't do that much.
Right. They took girls that I really had never seen do the Indies or anything like that. Or any, you know, there's a couple of girls like Jungle Girl. She always did the Indies. But for the most part, I think they basically took some girls off the West Coast and tried to train them and throw them in the ring.
Right.
I think that's the wrong mentality. I think the number one thing that needs to change there, you just hit on it. Stop with the diva searches. Stop trying to train wrestlers. Stop trying to train models to wrestle.
Right.
And this comes from a model who trained to wrestle. But what you need to do is get wrestlers to look like models. It's a lot easier to turn somebody into what you need them to turn into between, you know, implants and liposuction and makeup and hair extensions and all that stuff. It's so much easier to give somebody a look than it is to give them talent.
Yep.
And drive and heart and desire. If they're already doing the Indies, they obviously have the drive, the heart, the desire, and the training.
Right.
Now you just put them on a 6-week diet plan, get them the boobs or whatever you have to get them or whatever, you know, to turn them to that spot they need to be in to be TV friendly.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or give them a character that's appropriate.
Well, it sounds like you got it right, and on the male side of things, I heard Vince Russo once made this comment backstage at WCW. Something along the lines of, that's it, I'm firing all the wrestlers and I'm hiring a bunch of actors to wrestle. So on the male side, it's the opposite, you know?
No, I think it goes that way for the men, too. I think you need to stop taking guys and putting them in developmental territories and try to turn them into wrestlers and grab the guys off the indies who are already doing it. You can give them the appropriate, whatever the hell they're testing for, and turn them into what you need them to look like visually.
Right.
Stick them in a tanning bed.
Yep.
Let's be honest here. It's TV, okay? It's not anything more, anything less. It's TV. But at the end of the day, you need to have the stuff come off as good as you can.
Yep.
So.
Well, April, we really can't thank you enough for this. If you could give us a plug for your website and your MySpace account.
Oh, no problem.
Yes, this is the shameless plug chance. Yeah.
All right. If you want to see more of me, and there is video for you cheapies that are too racked like I am to join, you can go to aprilhunter.com or my MySpace, which is MySpace/TheUltimatePrize, and you can see a lot more of me there.
Can I ask one last question?
Sure.
What does that mean, Ultimate Prize?
It's a nickname Jason Knight gave me.
Okay.
When I started working the Indies, I started working for him. And, I don't know, he just came up with that name and it kind of stuck. So when I went to do my MySpace page, somebody had already taken April Hunter.
Oh, is it a fake one?
Yeah, there's a lot of... I can't get anything under my email, under Yahoo, under MSN, nothing. April Hunter's always taken. So is Big Red.